1 year ago, Heim sat in a parking lot in Chicago on his 22nd birthday and called it the worst birthday of all time. He had just become the only driver to fail to qualify for a non-Daytona 500 Cup race since November 2018. A street course had humiliated him in front of the entire NASCAR world. Fast forward to June 21, 2026, a different street course, a different outcome, and a moment nobody in that garage saw coming. Heim, 23 years old, started from 13th place. He led just 3 laps, but he timed them perfectly, making his move on teammate Tyler Reddick with 3 laps remaining and crossing the finish line first at the inaugural NASCAR Cup Series race at Naval Base Coronado in San Diego, and the man who crossed second. His own teammate, Bubba Wallace, and what Wallace said after that race set something in motion that went far beyond a post-race interview. Before we break all of this down, if you're watching real NASCAR content that actually digs into what happens behind the scenes, you are in the right place. We are NASCAR Voltage, and we are closing in on 500 subscribers. If this kind of content is what you want more of, subscribe, hit like, drop a comment, and share this video. Your support is what makes this channel possible. Now, back to San Diego. The Qualcomm circuit at Naval Base Coronado stretches 3.4 miles across 16 turns, threading through Naval Air Station North Island along the San Diego Bay waterfront. It became the longest circuit on the Cup schedule and the first ever motorsport event on an active U.S. military installation in NASCAR history. This was not just a race, this was a landmark. During driver introductions, U.S. Navy service members walked on stage with Heim and unprompted began tapping their wrists, mimicking his trademark victory gesture. Nobody thought anything of it at the time. By Sunday evening, it looked like those sailors had seen the future. Heim entered this race as a part-time Cup driver with only 5 Cup starts in 2025 and limited experience in the series. He had been the only driver to fail to qualify for the 2025 Chicago Street Race, making him the first Cup driver to DNQ a non-Daytona 500 race since November 2018. The plan coming into Coronado was simple: gain experience, stay clean, and learn. A win was not on anyone's radar, not the analysts, not the media, and arguably not even the team. When the race began, the story looked like it would belong to someone else entirely. Shane Van Gisbergen started from pole, the prohibitive road course favorite, who had won 6 of the last 7 Cup road course races for Trackhouse Racing. Alongside him was Connor Zilisch, one of the most respected road course talents in the garage. Tyler Reddick, the 2026 Cup points leader, was dangerous, consistent, and fully in control as the laps ticked by. Heim, meanwhile, started on scuffed qualifier tires that were never going to perform. He fell back to 20th. Crew chief Booty Barker told him to stay patient. The car would come to him. Heim did not panic. Then came lap 31. Austin Hill locked up his brakes while racing side by side with Connor Zilisch at the front of the field, drove them both into the outside concrete wall. Zilisch hit the barriers with jarring force and bounced directly into the path of Van Gisbergen, who seconds earlier had backed out of a 3-wide situation and had nowhere to go. Van Gisbergen drove through both crashing cars and was told to take his number 97 Chevrolet to the garage. Hill was sent to the garage as well. Zilisch finished 37th. In a single moment, 3 of the 4 favorites were eliminated, and somewhere back in the field, Heim was watching his path to the front open up. Tyler Reddick moved to the front and took command of the race. He led 9 laps, managing his tires intelligently, doing exactly what a points leader is supposed to do. Everything looked set. Then the final laps arrived and rear tire degradation began to bite. It took 3 corners for Heim to make the winning pass. On lap 73, Reddick slipped in turn 2. Heim was immediately through. The 2 teammates went side by side through turns 3 and 4. Reddick attempted a crossover move into turn 5, scraped the outside wall, made contact with Heim's number 67 Toyota, pushing him toward the wall but ceded the position. What Reddick said afterward was notable. "I ran him straight in the wall. That wasn't right. I wasn't going to pass him for the win that way, especially a teammate." Shortly after giving the position, Reddick suffered a flat left front tire and dropped all the way to 25th. His points lead over Denny Hamlin collapsed from comfortable to just 8 points. Heim reached the finish line 10.365 seconds ahead of Bubba Wallace, giving 23XI Racing its first 1-2 finish in organization history. The number 67 Toyota, which had never won in 78 years of Cup Series history, was in victory lane. Heim was speechless, and he had every right to be. Last year's trip to Chicago ended with the number 67 team failing to qualify on the day Heim turned 22. "Worst birthday of all time," he said Sunday. "Going from one street course just crushing my life to probably the best day of my life here a year later. Just funny how that works sometimes." Now here is where the story gets complicated. Bubba Wallace had an extraordinary day, even if it did not feel like it to him. He started 12th, worked up through the field, and then on lap 19 his right front wheel detached and rolled down the track. NASCAR assessed him a 2-lap penalty, holding him stationary in his pit stall while the race continued without him. He did not make the mistake. His pit crew did, and he paid the price. Wallace earned the free pass on lap 31 and again on lap 33, putting himself back on the lead lap. He drove back through the entire field and finished second, his best road course result across 40 prior road and street course starts. That is a comeback drive by any measure, but Wallace could not fully enjoy it. We've had a season full of asterisk marks beside our results and it's tiring. We're busting our ass and we're not getting the results that we deserve, he said. It's what if, tired of living in that. He praised Heim publicly. My body language and facial expressions will not show it, but I'm really excited for Corey and Booty, getting him back to victory lane. Being a winner in the Cup Series is something that, when we get there, we all want to achieve, and to be able to do that for him in his 13th start, it's pretty special. I've just got to keep busting my ass too, and maybe something will go my way, but I guess I gotta look at it from the glass half full. Those words, glass half full, sound supportive on the surface, but underneath them sits the unmistakable weight of a veteran who believes this race was taken from him before he ever had a real shot. Whether you read that as gracious professionalism or thinly veiled frustration depends on what you know about what came next, because the punishment did not stop at San Diego. On June 23, 2026, NASCAR suspended rear tire changer Adam Hartman and jackman Nathan Ricketts, both members of the number 23 team, for the next 2 Cup Series events at Sonoma Raceway and Chicagoland Speedway. They cannot return until July 12 at Echo Park Speedway outside Atlanta. The violation was cited under sections 8810-4A and D of the NASCAR rulebook, improperly installed tire and wheel. Wallace did not make the mistake. His crew did. His crew gets suspended, and Wallace goes to Sonoma and Chicago without 2 of his most critical pit crew members already weakened, while trying to protect his playoff position at the most important stretch of the road course schedule. Meanwhile, at Sonoma Raceway qualifying this past Saturday, Wallace went slightly too wide exiting turn 9, drove over the gravel, lost all grip, and spun his number 23 car 180 degrees into the safer barrier. The car suffered extensive front-end damage, forcing him to start Sunday's race from the rear of the field. The man who drove from 2 laps down to second at Coronado now heads into the most critical road course of the season, starting from dead last with a weakened pit crew. The championship picture around him tells the rest of the story. Van Gisbergen finished 38th at Coronado and now sits 17th in the standings, outside the playoff bubble entirely. Sonoma is the final road course before the playoffs. For SVG, it is must-win. Reddick's points lead sits at just 8 over Denny Hamlin, who, as 23 Zyco owner, finished 14th at Coronado and is now mathematically chasing his own driver. Corey Heim is 23 years old. He has 13 Cup starts. He is a Cup Series race winner. He is already announced as a full-time 23 Zy driver in 2027, driving the number 35 Toyota. Denny Hamlin said after the race, "I know that our team gave Corey a list of agenda and expectations for each race that he has left on his schedule. A win was not on that list, and Heim delivered one anyway. Bubba Wallace crossed that finish line second. He drove from 2 laps down back to the podium. He did everything a competitor is supposed to do. And then the week that followed made everything worse: the suspensions, the Sonoma qualifying wreck, the stripped-down crew. Every day added another layer. The question now is not what happened at Coronado. The question is what happens at Sonoma, at Chicago, and every race after that, inside a team where a 23-year-old just took a win that the veteran next door believes should have been his." Comment below: was Bubba Wallace justified in how he processed Sunday, or did his words land the wrong way? And if you enjoy real NASCAR breakdowns like this, you will like what is coming next. Subscribe to NASCAR Voltage, share this video, and let the algorithm know this content deserves to be seen.